There is a drama sitting quietly in the corner of Korean television history that has done something almost no other show has managed to do. It didn't have the most explosive romance. It didn't have the most shocking twists. It didn't have the car chases, supernatural powers, or a villain you love to hate. It had something far more dangerous than any of those things. It had the truth. And the truth, when it's written this honestly, performed this fearlessly, and directed with this much patience, has a way of reaching through a screen and doing something to you that you genuinely were not prepared for. The drama is called My Mister. It aired on TVN in South Korea in 2018, and years later, years after the finale, years after the cast moved on to other projects, years after the world discovered 1,000 other K-dramas, people are still talking about it, still recommending it, in whispers like it's something sacred, still saying the same thing when they finish it. I don't know what just happened to me, but I need everyone I love to watch this. So today, Axiskat. That's exactly what we're going to talk about. Not what happens, not how it ends, not the moments that will break you, because those belong to you and your first watch, and nobody has the right to take them from you before you get there. We're going to talk about why My Mister is the kind of drama that changes people, why it has earned its reputation as one of the greatest Korean dramas ever made, and why, if you haven't watched it yet, you are genuinely missing one of the most extraordinary pieces of television that exists anywhere in the world right now. Stay with me, because this one is worth every single minute. Let me ask you something before we go any further. Have you ever watched something, a drama, a film, anything and halfway through realized that it wasn't just entertaining you? It was doing something else entirely. Something quieter and more unsettling. Like it was holding a mirror up and you weren't entirely sure you were ready to look. That's My Mister. But here's what makes that even more remarkable. It does it without ever feeling heavy-handed, without ever lecturing you, without ever grabbing you by the shoulders and saying, feel this. It simply shows you people. Ordinary, complicated, exhausted, hopeful, deeply human people. And somewhere between episode 1 and episode 16, without you even noticing exactly when it happened, those people become real to you. That's not a small thing. That is an extraordinarily difficult thing to achieve in any medium, and My Mister achieves it almost effortlessly. The drama was written by Park Hae-young and directed by Kim Won-seok, both of whom had already demonstrated that they understood human beings in a way that most writers and directors simply don't, but My Mister would become the defining work of both their careers. The project that people point to when they want to explain what Korean television is capable of at its absolute ceiling. It aired from March 21st to May 17th, 2018. 16 episodes. And in those 16 episodes, it did more with ordinary human experience than most dramas do with extraordinary ones. We'll talk about why the writing is so exceptional in a moment. But first, we need to talk about the people who brought it to life. Because My Mister has one of the most remarkable casts ever assembled for a Korean drama, and the performances they deliver are a significant part of why this drama lands the way it does. Let's start with Lee Sun-kyun. If you know him from other work, and there's a good chance you do because his voice alone is one of the most distinctive in Korean entertainment, you already know that he has a quality on screen that very few actors possess. A stillness, a weight, the ability to communicate an entire internal world without saying a single word. In My Mister, he plays Park Dong-hoon, a middle-aged structural engineer. A man who goes to work, comes home, carries the burdens of his family, his career, his marriage, and does it all with the quiet resignation of someone who decided a long time ago that this is simply what life is. Not happiness, not misery, just the daily accumulation of obligations and disappointments that most adults learn to call normal. It sounds like it could be a depressing character. In lesser hands, it would have been. But Lee Sun-kyun does something with Park Dong-hoon that is genuinely breathtaking. He makes you love him, completely and without reservation. Not because Dong-hoon is perfect or heroic or exciting, but because he is so recognizably, painfully real that watching him feels like watching someone you know, someone you might be. And Lee Sung-kyun carries that weight with such grace and such precision that you never once feel the performance. You only feel the person. It is impossible to talk about Lee Sung-kyun's work in My Mister without acknowledging that we lost him in December 2023. His passing was a devastating loss for Korean cinema and television. But what he left behind, what he created in this drama specifically, is permanent. It is some of the finest acting that Korean television has ever seen. And My Mister is the fullest, most complete expression of what he was capable of as a performer. His legacy lives in this drama, and it is extraordinary. Now, IU. If you are anywhere near the K-drama or K-pop world, you know who IU is. Lee Ji-eun, one of the most beloved entertainers in South Korea, a singer whose music has soundtracked millions of people's lives, an actress whose charm and warmth in projects like Producer and Moon Lovers had already made her a household name. And then My Mister happened, and everything changed, because what IU does in this drama is not charming. It is not warm in any conventional sense. It is not the performance anyone who knew her from her other work was expecting. It is something completely different. Something that, when you see it for the first time, genuinely stops you. She plays Lee Ji-eun, a young woman in her mid-20s whose life has been defined by hardship in ways the drama reveals slowly and carefully. She is guarded in a way that goes beyond introversion, silent in a way that goes beyond shyness. She moves through the world with the economy of someone who learned very early that every expression, every word, every moment of vulnerability has a cost, and she cannot afford to pay it. And IU plays her with a stillness and a precision that is simply astonishing. There are scenes in this drama where IU communicates entire paragraphs of emotion without speaking, without moving dramatically, without doing anything that would register as acting in any conventional sense. She simply exists in the frame, and somehow that existence tells you everything. The exhaustion, the loneliness, the tiny flicker of something that might, if conditions were different, become hope. It is not an exaggeration to say that IU's performance in My Mister is one of the greatest acting performances in Korean drama history, not of her generation, not of her peer group, of Korean drama history. Full stop. And if you go in expecting the IU you know from her music or her other roles, prepare to be completely blindsided. It is genuinely difficult to discuss without spoilers, but whose performance adds a dimension to the drama that it absolutely needs. He is magnetic in a way that catches you completely off guard. Together, this cast creates a world that feels populated by real people rather than characters. And that sense of reality, that feeling that you are watching actual human lives rather than a scripted drama, is the foundation on which everything else My Mister achieves is built. Now, the story. I'm going to be careful here because the experience of discovering My Mister's story for yourself is genuinely part of what makes it so powerful, or I'm not going to take that from you. But I want to give you enough to understand why it resonates the way it does. On the surface, the premise is simple. A middle-aged engineer and a young woman whose lives intersect through circumstances that are complicated and not entirely comfortable. Two people from completely different worlds, different ages, different positions in life, different relationships to hope, who find in each other something unexpected. Not romance in any conventional drama sense, something quieter, something more honest than that, a sense of being seen. And here's what My Mister understands that most dramas don't. Being truly seen by another person, having someone witness your life without judgment, without agenda, without wanting anything from you except the truth of who you are, that is one of the most profound human experiences that exists. Most people go their entire lives without experiencing it fully. My Mister puts that experience at the center of its story. And then it builds everything else. The workplace drama, the family dynamics, the financial struggles, the complicated relationships around that quiet, devastating center. The drama is interested in ordinary people carrying extraordinary weight, the weight of unfulfilled dreams, the weight of family obligation, the weight of loneliness in the middle of a life that looks perfectly acceptable from the outside, the weight of being young and poor and exhausted in a world that has no patience for either. Have you ever watched a drama and thought, this understands something true about being alive? Not about being a hero or a romantic lead or a villain? About being a person, an ordinary, complicated, sometimes failing, sometimes hopeful person. That's what My Mister is. And it's rarer than it should be. Let's talk about how this drama looks and sounds, because the production of My Mister is doing significant emotional work, and it's doing it in ways that are easy to feel, and surprisingly easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Director Kim Won-seok made choices with this drama that go against almost everything conventional television does. In a genre that often fills silence with music, he lets silence breathe. In a medium that typically uses close-ups to signal emotion, he sometimes steps back, puts distance between the camera and the characters, and lets you observe rather than be directed toward feeling. Pay attention to how the camera moves in My Mister. Or rather, pay attention to how often it doesn't move. There is a patience to the cinematography that mirrors the patience of the story itself. Scenes are allowed to develop at the pace real moments develop, which is slower than drama and more true. The lighting does something extraordinary throughout this series. Offices and professional spaces feel cold and draining. The color palette is deliberately exhausting, because that environment is meant to be exhausting. But in quieter personal moments, in the spaces where characters are most themselves, there is a warmth that creeps in, not dramatically, subtly, like the difference between fluorescent light and candlelight. And the music. The soundtrack of My Mister is one of the most carefully deployed in recent Korean drama. It doesn't arrive to tell you how to feel. It arrives when it arrives at all, to deepen what you are already feeling. And the moments of complete silence are themselves a kind of music, a specific frequency that this drama operates on that you'll find yourself tuned into by the third or fourth episode in a way you didn't anticipate. The locations are ordinary in the most deliberate way. Subway cars, convenience stores, office buildings, neighborhood streets at night. Nothing spectacular, nothing designed to impress. And yet, every one of these spaces becomes emotionally significant in a way that more visually ambitious dramas rarely achieve. Because My Mister understands that the places where ordinary life happens are not backgrounds. They are part of the story. This is a drama that was made with exceptional care at every level of production. And that care is visible in every frame, especially when nothing dramatic is happening. Now let's talk about the writing, because Park Hae-young's screenplay for My Mister is, and I don't say this lightly, one of the finest pieces of dramatic writing that Korean television has produced. What makes it extraordinary is not the plotting, though the plotting is intelligent. It's not the dialogue, though the dialogue is remarkable. It's the trust. Park Hae-young trusts her audience in a way that is genuinely unusual. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't underline emotions with expository dialogue that tells you how characters are feeling when their faces are already showing you. She doesn't rush to resolution because she understands that real life doesn't rush to resolution. It accumulates, slowly, painfully, and then, sometimes, quietly and unexpectedly. It shifts. The dialogue in My Mister sounds like how people actually talk, which sounds like it should be easy and is, in fact, extraordinarily difficult. Characters don't deliver speeches. They talk around things. They say the wrong thing and mean the right thing. They are inarticulate about their feelings in exactly the ways that real people are inarticulate about their feelings. And in that inarticulation, in what is left unsaid, in the pauses and the deflections and the conversations that end without resolution, the drama communicates things that pages of conventional dramatic dialogue never could. The themes that run through My Mister, loneliness, healing, the weight of family, the possibility of kindness between strangers, the way community can sustain people who feel entirely alone, are not announced. They are accumulated, built brick by brick across 16 episodes until by the end they have constructed something that feels solid and true and permanent. There is humor in this drama too, and this surprises people who expect something unrelentingly heavy. The relationship between the three questions My Mister is asking, and the answers it offers are not neat or conclusive, they are human, which is the only kind of answer that lasts. So, is My Mister worth watching? Let me be honest with you, because that's what this channel is for. My Mister is not for everyone, and it knows that. It makes no attempt to be for everyone. If you come to it expecting the kind of romance that K-drama is famous for, the electric first kisses, the grand gestures, the moment where the leads finally confess and the music swells, you will need to recalibrate your expectations significantly. This drama operates in a different register entirely. If you need constant plot momentum, if a drama that takes its time, that allows scenes to breathe, that trusts silence as much as dialogue, feels slow to you in a way that's frustrating rather than intentional, then My Mister will test your patience in its early episodes. These are not flaws, they are choices. Deliberate, confident, artistically justified choices, but they are worth knowing about before you go in. For the right viewer, and I believe that viewer is a much larger group than My Mister's reputation as a difficult watch might suggest, this drama is simply one of the best things you will ever watch. On any platform, in any language, in any genre. It is the drama people recommend when they want to show someone what Korean television is truly capable of. It is the drama that has converted people who claimed they didn't like slow burn storytelling. It is the drama that people who saw it in 2018 are still thinking about in 2026. Does it live up to its legendary reputation? Yes, completely. And in some ways, it exceeds it, because no amount of praise quite prepares you for the specific way it makes you feel when you're actually inside it. My Mister aired on TVN in 2018, 16 episodes, written by Park Hae-young, directed by Kim Won-seok, starring Lee Sun-kyun, IU, Lee Ji-ah, Park Ho-san, Song Sai-byuk, and Jang Ki-young. It is available on licensed streaming platforms in most regions. Check what's available where you are, because this one is absolutely worth finding. And when you watch it, and I genuinely hope you do, I want you to go in without expectations about what kind of drama it's going to be. Let it show you. Let it move at its own pace. Trust it, especially in the early episodes when it's still introducing you to its world, because the drama is building something carefully, patiently, and what it builds, what it deposits in you by the time those final credits roll, is something you will carry for a long time. I didn't want to spoil a single moment of it in this video because every moment belongs to you. The surprises, the emotional turns, the scenes that will stop you mid-breath, all of it is waiting for you untouched. Now I want to hear from you. Have you already watched My Mister? If you have, don't spoil anything in the comments, please, for the people coming to this video who haven't seen it yet. But tell me, spoiler-free, what it meant to you, which character stayed with you, whether it changed the way you think about what K-drama can be. And if you haven't watched it yet, tell me, are you watching it tonight? Which K-drama should I break down next? Drop your suggestion in the comments, because your recommendation might be the subject of my next video, and I read every single one. If this video gave you something today, if it made you curious or reminded you why you fell in love with Korean drama in the first place, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this one, and turn on notifications so you never miss when the next one drops. My Mister is waiting for you. Go watch it. I'll see you in the next one.